Hi guys, I actually haven't been on YouTube in a long time. Since the last time I uploaded something, it's been a lot of months and I've finished a lot of sketchbooks. So I think I'm just gonna start dedicating some of these videos to my sketchbook tours. The front section of this video will just be a quick flip through. And then if you wanna listen to more details, products used, materials used, anything that I kind of learned from each of the pages, then I'll discuss that in the second portion of the video. Some details about what I used and how I used the sketchbook. So this is from June 2020. Yes, 2020. That's when I first got the sketchbook and I hadn't touched it for a while. And I finally got back into it and then I finished it all the way almost 2 years later in April of 2022. This is my second sketchbook that I completed. This particular one is a Moleskine one. It's, you know what, after reviewing it and like using a bunch of different other sketchbooks, this paper is something rich. I really love, you know what I love? It's the color. It's not quite white. It's like a milky, it's like a buttery, yellowy beige. So good. The other thing that I really do like about these pages is that they're very thick. So if you can lay on a bunch of gouache on there, throw on some watercolor, and the pages they don't cripple really quickly. I did a lot of experimental stuff in this sketchbook. I was still kind of figuring out what I wanted to use sketchbooks for, what I wanted to dedicate my sketchbooks for, and this one ended up being my everything and anything sketchbook. I mean, I had like my little puppy dog in there. Really beautiful pieces that I think are beautiful. And I also had stuff like this where my daughters got into it. Okay, enjoy the tour. Okay, now it's my turn to talk about every detail about the sketchbook. So this is the long-winded part. Hang tight. This first page, I actually did posing on a video in my phone, and then I just drew myself because nobody was going to pose for me. So that's what these images are. I did the same thing with my feet. And the pictures on the right are my daughters. They were moving a lot. Then I decided to do the 100 heads challenge, and I kind of decided to do different methods in each page. The first one was pencil. This one was just like a fine liner. And then I decided to use different fine liners, but from different colors. And then I tried to use some of my charcoal, which I didn't enjoy doing because they just felt very messy. And then I went back to pencil. So by this point, I was over the 100 heads drawing challenge, so I stopped. But I learned a lot. I probably won't do it again. Then I tried to draw my door knocker. I tried to draw a building. I wasn't a fan of that. I don't really enjoy doing buildings. I know I want to get practice at them. Then I did some more feet studies. And I drew some plants in my house with some watercolor. The next page, that was my first time using gouache. I decided I needed to do a sketch first. And then I started practicing with trees. So the sketchbook is very all over the place, which is what it's for. There's no rhyme or reason to this particular sketchbook. Then I tried to draw a donut and a cup. I needed to work on perspective, so I will work on it later. And then here is when I moved to my new house. So that was like almost 2 years later. Actually, a year later or so. So then I was drawing things at my home. This was a little figure for my house, and then I decided to do some online. They're very faint, but it's just like a light pencil. And then tried to do an activity with my daughter here, and she tried to draw her, and then some pictures from my phone. My daughter got into this drawing. She decided everybody needed shoes. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do 100 hands challenge. And then I stopped the next day. At this point, I try to do spreads. This next page was just figures, but eventually I was trying to improve on hands and fingers, and then I wanted to just like get better at perspective. Again, this sketchbook is very bouncing around, and that's why I kind of like this sketchbook, because it's hard to kind of encapsulate all that it did. This was probably one of my favorite drawings. The figure one right before was with gouache, and then this was with gouache as well, and it just kind of got me excited about gouache when I hadn't really played with it before. This was just a little play area my daughters go to. And then here I was trying to practice with some lettering, and I did not enjoy it. I think I didn't enjoy it because I wasn't really inspired by it. I didn't really connect to it. So there's that. A drawing about my daughter. And then what I also would use this sketchbook was to draw pictures so my daughter can fill them in while I sat there with her. So that's what that was. Here is just like a pencil drawing. The pages were pretty big, so this was kind of like a hard sketchbook for me to fill, but I really did enjoy all the space I had. And this was just like a pattern I wanted to make. Then I decided to do like a really nice painting of my dog, and I was kind of impressed by myself, so I wanted to do that some more. And then I wanted to just fill some backgrounds and do some line work. Actually, this one's a really cool one. The drawing on the left was something I was like really focused on. The one on the right was just less line work, and I found that it made it much better of a drawing. Then I started to practice cups, because every time I draw a cup in public, they always look really, really terrible. So that practice really helped a lot. I have to go back to that. Here's where I try to do spreads. I follow these really great artists on Instagram, and they do these beautiful spreads that like make sense, and I just didn't understand how they did it. And that was my attempt at just kind of figuring out how that could work, but it didn't work for me. And then again, another spread that just didn't really like do what I wanted to do. I think it has to do with there was no color, so that's why they didn't look that good to me. I did some more hand practice, and then I was playing with my daughter's tempera paint with that one. This one I actually filmed on TikTok and Instagram. It performed really well. I enjoyed this one. And here was just like, I actually picked this flower and I drew it 2 different ways. Same deal, I picked this flower from my neighbors who let me. And to try to do some more lettering, it just wasn't really successful for me. And then I wanted to do a little bit more studies on the smiles and teeth, which are difficult for me. And then here's me working at pattern making. I like this one. This was my workspace. It's my studio space, so I'm interested to see how it changes throughout the years. And then I did some detailed flowers here, and then I got some new pens and did some swatches, and I got some new colored pencils and did some swatches. And then I wrote some notes on how I wanted to do my sketchbooks, and then that was that. So this particular sketchbook, I loved how fat it turned. It was from June 2020 to April 2022. This was my second sketchbook filled. I'm so proud of it. Thanks for hanging out with me and hanging tight. I know that was a long sketchbook tour, but I had a lot to say about all the things that I learned and all the techniques that I used to eventually, I think I found my style. But there's like 4 different styles, but I think I found it, and a lot of it has to do with this sketchbook. So thank you so much for hanging in there. If you have any questions, again, leave them in the comments below. I will see you guys in my next sketchbook tour, which is soon because I have 6 more that I've completed.